Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about writing methodology for setting up your data. So we're in Google Classroom, we're in our own paper, which is right here, and your spreadsheet's right here, and I'm going to specifically open up Plots. So in 10th grade we just call this source and method, but eventually if you look at published research, this is called methodology. And it talks about where did you get your data from and what was your method for studying this paper. So if we look at B's senior year IA, she does three things. Number one, she shares where she got her data from and cites that source. And then she talks about the reliability of that source and why it is a good source. So those are two things that you should do in your data. You should share your source and then share why you think your source is a good source. Maybe a little background context that people wouldn't know what your source is. For instance, SoundCloud. SoundCloud's not necessarily a household name, even though you might think it is. So what is SoundCloud and why is it a reliable source? The next thing you're going to do is explain to your audience how you set up your model's data. So what did you set up as your x-axis and what are its units? What is your y-axis and what are its units? And for instance, if you're dealing with time along your x-axis, tell us what you set to t equals 0. For instance, was the year 1990 set to t equals 0, or a specific week, or a specific day set to t0? Share with us that. And then you get to name your function. So I called mine L of x, number of listens, according to popularity rank x. Remember, function notation is just a fancy way to say y, but it helps us label things a little more clearly. After that, you're going to link us to your Google spreadsheet by making that a link right to your direct spreadsheet. And screenshot at least kind of the first 10 or so. I know some of you have a lot of data, but do what you can to screenshot that in. You can screenshot on a Chromebook. You can Google how to screenshot on a Chromebook. The last thing you're going to do is share a screenshot. Make sure you've labeled your x-axis and your y-axis correctly of your data, and make sure it's a good window. Remember, you can edit your window up here in this upper right-hand corner, but it should take up a lot of your screen. And then link us to your Desmos data collection right here. This is also your first introduction to a C notice transition. I think we could probably see this in B somewhere. Let's scroll down to some math processes. Oh, yep, here we go. So as we can see here, blah, 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 blah. And then what can we notice? And she analyzes it. And then she transitions. What is she going to do next in that? And you can see this is really sophisticated because it's a long paragraph. But in 10th grade, as you're just getting used to it, you can just write a basic C notice transition. What we see above, and what are we looking at? What can we notice? And then therefore, what will I do next? This is where level 5 through 7 students can attempt greater sophistication, much like B's paper did here. That is the last thing you need to do in terms of setting up your data for your audience.